Mr. President, I rise to describe a broken, fractured, and wickedly partisan process. These Democrat-drawn Senate and Assembly maps are now fully revealed. And with that, one thing is infinitely clear to everyone in this room: the will of the people has been ignored. In 2014, the voters of New York resoundingly supported a constitutional amendment, and that amendment created the Independent Redistricting Commission. This amendment made it abundantly clear that New Yorkers wanted legislative lines drawn in a fair and a nonpartisan manner. This past November, the voters spoke again, furthering their support of an independent process for redistricting. Twice in 7 years. Yes, that's twice in 7 years. Surely the voice of the voters was heard. Or was it? I wonder if my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are having short-term and long-term memory issues. 3 months is not a long time, folks. 3 months is a blink of an eye in this business. Both of these referenda were completely ignored, sidestepped, and bypassed by the Democrats in this legislature. Now we are seeing the results. Communities that have been bound together for years are ripped apart. Communities that have been bound together for years are separated. Some of these communities have been together for 6 decades. That's a long time. Imagine that. 6 decades together, now ripped apart. To me, that is the voters of certain areas of New York State being disenfranchised, no longer represented together. Make no mistake, this is the least transparent redistricting process New York State has ever seen. What was once the great Empire State now has been reduced. It has been reduced to a state of redistricting funk. A state of redistricting funk. Plain and simple. Too many communities in Western New York and across our state are losing their voice. And in return for what? Here's what's happening. New York City is gaining 2 new Senate seats to further its partisan agenda. That is just wrong. It's proposals like this, which we are seeing from this majority, that is a reason why the people across our great state no longer trust their government. The trust is lost, and that is shameful. What else are we seeing? Here's what we're seeing. Nearly 1,000 residents per day are leaving our great state. This might not seem like much to New York City, but this means the world to upstate. 1,000 people a day. This is not good government. This is not positive leadership. It's failed leadership. And what this represents is more hyper-partisan politics, as usual, out of Albany. There has not been one public hearing on these maps. There has not been any public input on these maps. This is shameful, and this is unacceptable, as voter equity is now lost on the residents of Western New York. I'm going to close in echoing the comments of my good friend, Senator Akshar. An argument can be made that this is a move to cement absolute power. Absolute power for one side of the aisle in Albany. I deeply hope that this body never forgets that absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. For these reasons, when the time is right, Mr. President, I will be strongly and resolutely in the negative.